Good morning, mi gente. Welcome back to another episode of Behind the Apron. I'm Kassy.
And I'm Manny.
Happy Friday. How was your week this week, babe?
This week was fun. It was a little hectic, but we got through it and finally at the slower end of the week, so things are kind of back to normal. So
That's good. That's good. Well, we have a great episode lined up for everyone today. I interviewed our real good friend. We are keeping her anonymous this week, mainly because she's still in the industry and she's actually doing some amazing things. So we want to keep it professional on her end, or we want to keep her name kind of under wraps. And rest assured, it's not the only episode that she'll be recording with us. But for now, we're going to keep her anonymous because we want to protect her identity. She does have some amazing perspectives.
it definitely will be fun to hear what she has to say about what's been going on in her life and things that she's experienced.
So whether you have a strong coffee or a strong drink, make sure you have it handy because today's episode is going to be a good one. Let's dive in. So we're going to go ahead and introduce you first and foremost as our very first guest. I could not have picked like a more perfect person considering everything that we personally have been through together. I have a little I have a little bit that I'll share later on in the episode when we talk about our NROs and stuff, but I cannot tell you how much that you have taught me that I still think about to this day. So I'm so thankful for you. Yeah.
You are far too kind, Kassy. You are far too kind. But yes, I definitely follow you in that sentiment of we have been through a lot. We have taught each other a lot because you've taught me a lot as well. Very much.
I'm glad. Yes. We are definitely, I think, the definition of iron sharpens iron because
Absolutely.
we have learned so much from each other. But we've also been through a lot in the same environment, maybe in different locations, but man, like we've just done a lot when we've accomplished a lot together.
We've accomplished a lot, and you know what? That I'm grateful for that. Where we started at and where I got to know you, to where you ended up, and to where I ended up. That I was able to go support you within our corporation. I was able to go support you, and even if I wasn't going to go support you, if I was in the area, I'm like, Kassy, I'm going to make time. I'm going to go hang out with you, even if it's 3 hours away, because we're from Texas. 3 hours means nothing.
Yeah.
But
no, literally. I tell Manny that all the time. He's like, you want to go to San Antonio? It's a 2-hour drive. And I'm like, babe, we used to do day trips to San Antonio. Going and coming back in one day is nothing.
And I can get it now because, you know, I live in Florida. I live in Miami. But the turnpike is boring. So
it is.
They'll never understand.
Like, oh my God. No, yeah. All right. So give us a little info, a little backstory about who you are, what you have done, and how you ended up in the industry.
So I'm an amazing Latina, of course.
Yes, ma'am.
Born and bred in Texas. When people ask me, where are you from? I'm like, or they're like, where are you from? I'm like, American by birth, Texan by the grace of God. I don't think I could be anywhere in this world today if I didn't come from where I came from. You know, we live and breathe hospitality. We're good people. We have good intentions. And that's one of the things that I want to first, mention. But I started my career at where a lot of people start their career at Applebee's.
Yes.
It started
the good old days of Applebee's.
Yeah, the good old days of Applebee's. I started off as a cocktail waitress. And when you mean cocktail, you get everything around the bar. And at the time, it was 4 dominant bartenders. They were all male. So started off my career as a cocktail waitress because I had to make money quick. I had 2 girls. They were 8 and 9 at the time, 7 and 8, and I had to make money. So I went over there and I was hustling, doing my thing and getting to know people. And it just ended up turning out that when, as the days went by or as weeks went by, the guests that I frequented, when I would walk in, they would be at the bar, order a beer, and then it was, as soon as I walk in, they'd be like, oh, can you transfer me to her table? I started to, there was, because we lived in a border town, it's majority, a lot of like, what is it, like
import export?
Import export. I'm like, I don't even know the words anymore. It's so foreign to me.
Yeah.
But it's all of import export. So you met a lot of people in business because there was like a Hilton right there. And
Yeah.
they would come and stay for the week, or would stay for they had no choice but to stay for the weekend because they were either stuck or whatever. And
Yeah.
so I ended up having like guys that would come in and would be like, they go sit at the bar, wait for me to start my shift, and they're like, "Oh, can you transfer me to her?" So at that point, the bartender was working for free, wasn't getting a tip.
Mm-hmm.
So it started like that, and very much a passion to be able to. I ended up getting like the spot of like the weekday bartender. So
that's
it
a good shit.
definitely worked out for my shift. My kids went to school. I picked them up after work, and I got my regulars. People drink during the day, whether
They do.
People drink during the day. Everybody's trying to cope, and
Yep.
I built a great rapport. I used to had people, that didn't know each other, socializing with each other, becoming friends. And it was just very much a free space like that,
Mhm.
different from what we see nowadays. People are not afraid.
Yeah.
People are afraid to speak to each other and carry on like that. And that's exactly where I started. I started at Applebee's.
Wow. Especially now with like phones, people are so uninterested to like create a conversation with somebody.
Because they're stuck in their phones and they'd rather have like or they're tied to somebody,
Mhm.
far away, foreign, to have a conversation with somebody right next to them.
Yeah.
It's like unbelievable. But I think that's one of the greatest things that I did, and I was able to make me money, was that I was able to bring people together just to talk shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We're watching football, we're watching soccer, anything like that, any sport that, anybody could have an opinion on.
Yeah.
We raised it and we ran with it, and it was a good time.
That's awesome. And then, so you've only worked at 2 restaurants then. I don't know why I thought you had worked at more.
No, I'm very much a person that I stick to what I know.
Yeah.
So I was there, and then I ended up going into, after being there for like 5 years, mind you, I was the first bartender in our hometown that worked that. Remember when Applebee's was like, "Oh, we're going to stay open until 2 a.m.?
Yeah.
I was the first bartender to do that. And I remember sitting there and looking at the door, waiting for people to come.
Oh my God.
Because it wasn't even an idea anybody had grasped or anybody knew and anybody thought about. And they didn't even understand, we didn't understand how genius this was. We were like, this is torture.
Yeah.
Like, you're making me stay here. But with the extended hours, I mean, you started to get the guys come in, the girls coming in after the, whatever bar they went to, they knew that they had an option to go to. So for 5 years, I was able to make money on the weekends, sustain my position. And then during the weekdays, I'd work during the week, earning that position, but I started off doing that at 2 a.m.
Wow.
And then, so after that, the girls were a little bit older, about 9 years old, 8 and 9. And I went into the medical field. I was a billing coordinator for pediatric and sports therapy. And it was fun. I'm not going to say that it wasn't fun.
Yeah.
I loved doing what I did, but I was the monotony of going into an office every single day, looking at the screen. And then the women that you worked with were so pretentious and envious because you knew how to have fun, or you had a life, or whatever,
Yeah.
I remember going to San Diego in 2016 for the summer. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going back to an office. And there was an opening for a cheddar scratch kitchen. Yeah. I'm like, I've heard the concept in San Antonio.
Yeah.
But I never dabbled or went in. And I said, you know what? I said, if I get this, then it's for me to move.
Yeah.
And I applied while I was on the plane. And I got off the plane and they called me and they're like, hey, can you come in today? I was like, I'm traveling today, but I'll be tomorrow. And I went in and interviewed me, and Gabriel got my referral, my reference.
Yeah.
And then Mark Garcia hired me. He says, I've never had such a great referral in in all the years that I've worked, right?
Yeah.
It was definitely one of those things that worked out in my favor. They called the right person, the stars aligned, and I was the new bartender at Cheddar Scratch Kitchen.
That's wild.
yeah.
Especially in small towns, restaurant like communities, they tend to
They get around.
Yeah, and everybody knows everybody type of thing.
Absolutely.
You build that rapport.
So when I went to open the bar at Cheddar's, my old manager from Applebee's, they were opening the new Applebee's across the street. And he came and he sat at the bar and he's like, I didn't know you're in the bar business again. I'm like, oh, try it out. And he's like, who's going to open my bar? And I'm like, if you'd like for me to open your bar, I'll gladly go open your bar.
Yeah.
And then I got a second job doing that, training, bartenders and working at his bar at the Applebee's. And it was good for a while, but it was something that I was so familiar with and it felt like it just flowed.
Yeah.
It really just flowed. And then after being a year with Cheddar's, they put me on the road to go, as you know, to go do NROs and stuff. And that's where it all started, really.
Yeah, I think that was the beginning of both of us being able to see a potential future, like lifelong future with the company and making this a career. I kind of want to know, like, because I feel like both of our significant others are such huge parts of our lives and have such a pivotal place in our stories in the restaurant industry and how we met them. So tell me a little bit about that.
My God, you couldn't have said it any better. Not where I was at the time with the person that I was with, but moving to a new city. I live in Miami, and opening a brand new restaurant, and my relationship just like completely fell apart.
Yeah. And this wasn't a rinky-dink relationship, like somebody.
No, we were 10 years. Like, we were going on 10 years. So, I mean, we did everything together. He was my best friend. Unbeknownst to me, there was things that were going on prior to, like, whatever. And I believed, because I was a supporting person, that he would support me the way I supported him in his endeavors, in his travels, and his motivation to get up for work and do everything that he did. And because he was very supportive when we traveled. He was very supportive when we did stuff like that. So I was like, oh well, I support him when he does this, and we try to find a means to an end to where he would be here 1 week a month, things like that. But I didn't. At the end of the day, what I was achieving, he wasn't ready for. He wasn't ready for the accolades, the attention, anything like that. So I was here in January. By March, it fell apart.
My God.
Yeah. So come June, we already opened this brand new restaurant in Kendall. And I have one of these managers that, these like fuck off hires that they have to fill a spot.
Oh, God.
It was one of those days. And I was like, you know what? I'm like, I can't deal with this. And I took, I'm leaving. I gotta go. I don't want to do this. I can't, like, not right now. He's like, but are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. And I was going home and I was like, you know what? I don't want to go home yet. So I ended up going to like the staple place around Miami, is Flanagan's. And I was sitting there and I called our friend Mandy. And I was like ripping this guy a new one. And our friends are very good to us and they're supportive and they listen to all the shit we have to say. And she was nice enough, but this gentleman comes up and he sits right next to me. And I'm ripping this guy a new one. And I was like, when I got off the phone, I was like, this man probably thinks I'm like a degenerate.
Crazy.
I'm a degenerate.
All disheveled.
Yes. Like, I have no class.
Oh my God.
I was like, because I was cursing like every other word. It was horrible.
Yeah.
And, we're brought up in South Texas, we want to have some decorum and some pride in ourselves. And so I looked at him and I said, he ordered something, just like didn't even look at a menu. And I was like, you don't need a menu? And he started laughing. He was like, are you kidding? Like, I know the menu. And before you knew it, we're talking and we're having a conversation. And that was like 8:00 at night. The lights were coming up. It was midnight.
Oh, wow.
And we're paying our checks. And he's like, hey, do you want to come over? And I text, my friends and I'm like, hey, like, get my location, like, call me in 30 minutes, tell me Jake had an accident, something, And no, I came over and that was the beginning of one of the most beautiful friendships I've ever had in my life. And
Wow.
through all my shit that I went through with my ex and work, because I still had to, due to my expertise, I had to move to Pembroke, which was like 50 minutes away, to open another restaurant.
Oh my God.
And through all of that, he was there and he was available, and he started dating someone, and I tried to work it out with my ex. And we both figured out, we're like, oh, this is bullshit.
Yeah, no, this is not it.
And we sat in our shit together, and we spent time, I was 50 minutes away, 45 minutes away. I was just flying down here, or he was picking me up after work and driving me to work 50 minutes away, 50 minutes one way, 50 minutes another way.
Wow.
At night, it was like 30 minutes on the express lane, but it was one of those things that we found such a comfort in each other, because we were so comfortable with each other as friends that it couldn't help but evolve to what we are today. And he's still my best friend and the best man I've ever been with. And nobody could reach his ankles. No one could. And I'm glad that I had that, because if I didn't, this shitty ass industry would have fucking taken me down. You know what I mean?
It would have been the end of you.
Oh my God, it would have, Kassy. It would have been like, you, Florida woman.
For real.
You would have read an ad like, Florida woman.
Do we see your mugshot plastered all over?
And I'd be like, but everybody that knows me would be like, yeah, she had a good reason.
Yeah.
Like, she doesn't do shit just because.
That's true. That's true. It was warranted. Have you seen that Instagram account? It's called like Only in Dade. You would have been coming out there. I would have been an Only in
Dade and been like no, it was like really bad.
Okay, so I kind of wanted to talk about how we eventually transitioned into like doing NROs, and how the stress for NROs, I think, and if people who don't know what NROs are, it's new restaurant openings. So as a corporate trainer, naturally, you're going to be exposed to a lot more stress, and in a different kind of way than a normal team member in a high volume restaurant would. So I wanted to kind of talk about how we feel as corporate trainers and NRO trainers, how we were either set up for success or take on stress a little differently, and whether or not it prepared us for our management positions. Because we know a lot of corporate trainers who eventually went into management, like both of us, for example. And I think that we excel in a different, not in a better way, but I think in a different type of way than a regular team member who is promoted into management.
Absolutely. Let's get into that. I think that I'm very grateful for the people that were there before me. Yeah. The people that saw that in me, that gave me the opportunity, that gave that advice to Mr. Newman, who gave me the opportunity to put me on the road, because they knew what discipline was. They knew what structure was, and they knew what fuck this shit was.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They understood all of that. So within that method that I could say anything about it, we had to achieve the hey girl, hey.
Yep.
The hey girl, hey, fake it till you make it.
Yep.
You went over there for somebody else, and it was a selfless thing. Yes, we were getting paid for it, and we did this and we did that, but we always knew that the going and jumping into it, we had an agenda that we had to fulfill, and it was a promise we made to this whole company. But it was a complete agenda that we had, that and that they structured for us, and they set, they paved the road for us. And we went with that immediate thing. We knew, we're like, we got to go do our shit and go do our shit right if we want to come back.
Yeah.
And
definitely.
I think that we were very successful at doing what we did. Obviously, we got management positions, but definitely it was like the new beginning, because everything was riding on it. Your future, where you're going to go. You don't want to digress. You don't want to go back and be like, oh, I didn't make it. You know what I mean? So
definitely,
it was definitely a challenge for everyone. And it's at a bar up for us, the standard. And as many as you did, I think you can count them. And that's how you count how successful you were before you got a management position. but it's definitely it's the impact that you made on everyone, and the other trainers, like the new trainers. And you still have people from old restaurants to still message you and you're friends with. Um, that's absolutely the most beautiful thing about it. But I mean, yeah, after that, like, it was a level of stress, but it was a go get it. You're hungry stress. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When you got to get up. I remember, like, towards my last NRLs, we had that 2-hour break for lunch. I
Yeah.
go back to the hotel and I'd get in the hot tub. I had
Oh,
2 big
yes.
things in the hot tub, and I was like, I'm not going to lunch with nobody. I'm not doing anything. I'm going to go get in the hot tub, relax, reset, and go back and do it again. And that's when you didn't mind doing it. You know what I mean? You had people around you with the same goals, with the same ambition, and that was great.
Dude, I miss those
It was
days.
a good time.
If they were to call me back and say, would you want to be just a corporate trainer? I'd be like, fuck
yeah,
yes.
I would too.
Send me on the road. I got you. It's crazy because one of my last opening, I think, was no, but it was I want to say it was Abilene, and then that following fall of 2019, I get a random text message from, and I don't think I had his number saved, and it just said, it was so random. I'll never forget it. I was getting ready, I think, for work, or I was getting ready to go out, and he was like, are you ready to get on the plane? And I was like, am I being punked? Is there someone outside with like a camera of my house? Like, is there someone outside of my house with a camera? Like, I was like, what? And then he's like, are you ready to get on the road again? And I was like, hell yeah. And then I ended up having to tell him, I think it was for Arizona.
Good year.
And yeah, it was
You
good year.
didn't go.
Like,
It was so much
I
fun.
didn't go. He was like, I want you to be like the lead opener. Because at the time they were kind of transitioning. They no longer had like the,
Oh, you were going to be the
CT?
The CT?
Yeah, but not back then. I feel like they were
They were transitioning because it was dark now.
So they didn't have, they didn't have like an actual lead for both front of house and heart of house. They had like the front of house lead, and then they had the heart of house lead. He had told me, the position's yours if you want it. Like, we want you for the front of house lead. And I was like, I just accepted like my MIT, and he's like, no. And I was like, don't do this to me. Like, oh my God. Like,
don't tempt me.
I was just literally, I mean, thankfully I was just so blessed with like all the opportunities that we had, but I was so close to telling them, like, push back my MIT. I really want to do Goodyear. Yeah.
I had them push back my MIT to go to Goodyear.
Really?
I sure did. I was able to go to Goodyear, come back home, pack my shit. I was back New Year's Eve or the day before Christmas. Yeah, the day before New Year's Eve. Have Christmas with my family, and then New Year's Day I was on the road heading to Miami. I was like, push it back.
Yeah. No, it was definitely like bittersweet, but I'm thankful that I took the road that I did, because then I ended up, eventually meeting Manny, and we have a beautiful family together, and everything. I can't believe that everything that we have done on our timeline and the doors that God has opened at the time that He did has led us to where we are today.
No, absolutely. And it's one of the things that I've said to you before. People don't understand this, but you have to have a servant mentality.
Yeah.
Everyone should at least work in the service industry for a month before they take on any role, because if you really think about it, whether you become a doctor, a nurse, an officer, somebody who works in an attorney, anywhere who works in Congress, the state, whatever, you're still going to become a servant regardless. So it is better to serve to begin with and understand that you will be serving for the rest of your life. That's beautiful. A servant position is a servant position, and it doesn't change anything whether you're serving tables, you're serving people in the highest regard, saving lives, but you're still a servant. And people, and that's what I tell my team. Just don't ever forget that, because you're not meant to stay here. We all have to move. We all evolve. But understand that if anything that I can teach you to help you move further, wherever you're going to, or if there's something that reminds you of your past and where you were, and anything you can take with you, I'm glad to help you. Wow. A lot of people don't have that now, but I've had kids who've become attorneys, doctors, people with,
Yeah.
musical careers and our careers. And it's been very fulfilling for me. I get, a very much a satisfaction to say I was able to have an impact on that person's life and guide them to as much as a hot mess as I am, or I became.
Right.
My
All of our anger issues.
my intentions were always good, and it shows there because that kid did something good and still reaches out to me. So fuck y'all.
Yeah.
It is. It really is. So my nice moment, became reality.
That's awesome. But it's so true. I hadn't thought of it like that. Like all these people that eventually grow up and follow their careers that use, serving in a restaurant as a stepping stone to put themselves through college or whatever the case is. You work with them and you work for them and you truly do like leave a small little impact on their lives, and then they grow up to be like these successful people. And I had never thought of it that way. That's such a beautiful way to look at it.
We're speaking of those people right now that we were talking about with our NRO journeys, just like Mark, Gabriel, anyone like that gave us a chance.
That's true.
They gave us an opportunity to become who we are today, however it came out to be, however,
right.
But it's one of the most beautiful things that I think as far as it comes to management, and now that I could take away from it, is that you become somebody for someone, and you've impacted them, that they saw you struggle. I remember blurting out one day, right there in front of the line. I was like, they asked me something. I was like, what I want doesn't matter. And everybody turned and they were like, Esther, don't say that. But because nobody had understood or ever thought that everything they asked of me and everything I gave, I took away from myself, diminished some part of myself to make them happy. And I remember standing there and saying it out loud, what I want doesn't matter. And these kids that now they still text me or call me, how are you doing? How's everything? They turned around and looked at me and they said, Esther, don't say that. Don't say that. But they don't understand the toll that their needs and wants take out on one person. I have a video of like some of my last days with the company. I was so stressed out, and I was like checking everyone out, and I'm like, one at a time. And then I think it was like 6 guys. It was, that night where it's like nothing but guy servers, and the estrogen is so like, the testosterone's so high, and it's like,
you're so over it.
Yes, and I'm just like, oh, one at a time. And I remember they all had like, and I'll send it to you. I'll find it. Whereas all these guys are like, Esther, and they're like run, and they're like jumping, and like they're all cheering for me. And I'm like, after that, I made mine. I'm like, all right, guys, whatever. You know what I mean? You go home happy, fine, you're good. But they were all so excited because they knew how much pressure they put me under. Like, stop fucking with me. And they understood at that moment that I was under pressure, I was under stress, and I'm like, hey, I'm trying to get you guys out of here. I'm not getting out of here any minute. I still gotta be here. The dish just left.
I gotta wait on dish.
I gotta wait on dish. She's not leaving anywhere. It's gonna be a minute. I'm gonna go bail them out or close out Friday, whatever, But it was one of those, because your servers are so ready to go spend their money, ready to go out.
They are.
They've been dealing with people, so it was definitely one of those moments that I was like, and they all cheered me on. I'm like, all right. Like it's But that's how it goes,
And what were some of the first signs that you saw, or you noticed in yourself when it came to seeing that the stress was kind of like finally kicking in a different way and kind of, taking on that more of an anger presence? Because it's happened to me too.
Yes, it was definitely becoming a manager. NROs had nothing to do with that, really. Like I said, it was a saving grace for us to get us prepared to where we were going to be and give us a lot of enlightenment and appreciation for the things we accomplished. Moving forward, we think it's all going to be like that, right? It's going to be, we're going to make an impact and we're going to have this, great reward for it. And no, it's not like that, because I was able to handle the stress of opening a new restaurant the first time. But my relationship as a manager in Kendall, my relationship is falling apart, and I'm showing up every day and doing what I have to do, and then at that point, when you've given all of yourself to this company to get to this place that you are with such great reverence. People have given you such great compliments, references, all that good jazz. So it's something that you have to hold to, right?
Mhm.
But you show up and you're like, fuck, I can only give you the bare minimum today because I'm dying inside. And
Literally.
as much as you want to leave your trash outside, because it's going to be there when you leave, you still going to pick it up. Nobody's picking up your trash bag.
That's true.
Nobody's going to pick up your trash can. Not even the maintenance guy. He's, it's going to be there when you walk out, honey. So instead of forgetting everything at the door, it was the blatant disrespect from the company standards. You get to see what a manager goes through in an NRO. The taxing moments, all the time that they ask you to be there is extremely taxing. And I understand that we have a company to, raise up
A
off the
business to
ground.
run. Mhm.
Exactly. It's a great privilege. Obviously, if you want to be knowledgeable and if you want to move forward to become this, that, the third, and become, a regional manager, director of operations, and soon enough, the vice president. But at that moment in life, I was like, F this. I don't have my kids. My relationship is falling apart, and I don't have my dog.
Yeah.
So that's when the stress really starts to kick in.
Oh no.
And you're in a different city, and you're lonely. And me as a person, I'm not the person that wants to bring more people into their life.
Uh-huh.
I don't want to bring more people into the equation because it's hard enough as it is right now.
Definite.
Just me and trying to deal with everything. So, you deal with a lot of that alone, and then you go and you face your team.
Yeah.
And you got to get them motivated, and you got to do a pre-shift, and you got to do this and that, and then listen to what their needs and wants are and their availability, and this and that happen. And that's where it started. The stress really started to take over.
Mhm.
On top of that, due to your level of expertise, once again, we're moving you to Pembroke to open a new restaurant. Motherfucker. The only great thing about that was that I was going with a team that I actually kind of helped build.
Oh.
The culinary manager was my reference, which is our friend Eric. I got him, I was able to give him that connection with my DO. And then the trainer, the other culinary trainer, I was going to be able to work side by side with like brother and sister kind of thing. That's the only thing. But then you have to account the hours. You go in when the sun is, you're walking in when the sun is in, like the sun hasn't even come up, and you're walking out when the sun has gone down. So you get no daylight hours. You're inside. You're repetitive. There's a building with nothing in it, and everybody's asking you, "Are we on schedule?" Because you're experienced, right? And then I'm looking at the schedule. I'm like, guys, we're ahead of schedule. We're ahead of schedule. You have to think about it. Miami and Broward, like they're permitting. They can tell you, well, they can come in and say, oh, you have to move this an inch that way. I have an appointment in 2 weeks, and you have to wait a whole 2 weeks.
God.
And that pushes back your opening date. There's so many things can happen,
Oh my God.
Your small orders were supposed to be here, and we have to fill up the whole restaurant. Well, your small orders got pushed back because of such a large order. And then here comes the truck backing in, and you're putting every single piece of small orders that goes into that restaurant. We're talking about plates, spoons, pans, cambros, everything that is supposed to go into that restaurant is coming at that moment, and you have to find a home for it. And then you have to put everything sheet to shelf. I remember going at 8 a.m., not coming out to 2 a.m.
Oh my God. And then you have to wash it all, don't you? Before you even put it up, you have to take it out of the boxes, even though it's brand spanking new, run it through the dishwasher, and then let them dry and put them up.
Oh, joy. Joy. Yeah, and then so after that, you get out, it's late, I want to go have a drink. And I just want to forget. And that's where the drinking started.
For me too.
Like it was just like, people don't understand. I have to go and do all this, be a hero for someone, and then come home and be like, okay, yeah, I'm still gonna go, And no, I don't want to do anything. I just want to go have a drink and go home and go to sleep and wake up as late as possible. I don't want to go to the gym. I don't have time to go to the gym. I'm becoming unhealthy. You know me.
Yeah.
I was the vegan for 5 years because I was so ethically conscious when it came to animals. Even if I worked for a restaurant, they expensed all my food, and they understood that if I was at any area. I would eat at a mom and pop vegan shop, and I could expense it, anything. I mean, remember when we went to Jacksonville? We went to Top Golf because they had vegan food. Yeah, so I was very conscious of that. And after that, I was like, fuck, give me some nachos and a beer. And it ate away at me. You know,
give me a buff wrap. Give me some tenders.
For real. And after that, it's like, it takes a toll on your mental health and your physical health.
Oh my God.
I gained weight faster than you can fucking scream fire.
Really?
Yes. Yes, it was horrible. Yes. It was horrible. And I'm like, I can't breathe. But you want me to run to the bar, to the kitchen? And I'm just kidding. Wait from me.
Oh my God.
But no, it takes a toll on your physical and on your mental health. And you don't think that you're good enough for anyone. You don't think you're good enough for anything.
Yeah.
Because this one person can come and put a doubt in your mind and it ruins your whole fucking day. Or you can't say what you want to say because you're worried that corporate is going to find out and you're completely fucked forever because you said how you felt at that moment and you're not allowed to feel. You're not allowed to feel at all.
So you have to kind of turn it off and just kind of eat it and, you know, take the shit.
Eat crow all day long. And then you have a guest and this is my favorite guest, and I'm being fucking funny. The middle-aged 40-year-old woman who comes with a fucking complaint.
The fucking Karens.
And you already know. And I tell my kids, I'm like, you don't get paid enough to deal with them. But then sometimes I'm like, you know what? You might get some thick skin out of this. You might get I don't have time for this shit. Like, you're fine. You're young. Go get them.
Yeah.
Whatever you say, I'll back you up.
Oh my God. No, yeah. But when you're talking about like the physical and how like it affects your health, I know that I never thought about this until my mom kind of brought it up, and she also worked in the food industry. But I noticed myself even to this day, and I'm like a year removed from the food service industry, but I've worked at several restaurants where some of them offer breaks, some of them don't offer breaks. Some of them, if you double, you know, it's kind of like eat on the go or eat if you can.
It's funny because they offer you a break, but you're like, when do I take my break? I can't take my break.
Right? So you realistically can't. And so you're kind of put in this position where you have, you know, at best 30 minutes to eat, and that's not including like clock out, you know, order your food, wait for your food, then, you know, kind of clean yourself up, get ready, and turn around and just kind of clock back in. And so realistically, you only have about at most 20 minutes to eat. And at that point, you're kind of scarfing down your food and you don't let your body
fast and digest it
eat
comfortably.
And it's so horrible on your body.
That's one of the things that I've taken into account. So in my new business model, we've had a rally and people have gotten a chance to meet me, and I tell them, you're more than welcome to call ahead and order and come and pay for it on your break, because you only get 30 minutes. So if you order like a pizza or a sandwich or something, it's going to take 12 minutes, 19 minutes, so your break's gone. So everybody's been very grateful for that. And today, my lead, like the head of the store, he came in today and he says, I'm going to order. Can you have like this ready at 11:25? He's like, our marketing lead is coming in for a visit. We had already known since yesterday because they, you know, for engagement, they ask us to wear certain colors or patterns. Wow. Yeah. To welcome this person. And I told him, I said, do you want me to take it to you? He's like, if you can, that would be great. I don't mind taking time away from what I'm doing, or my staff doesn't mind like taking your order early and accommodating the people, because we understand what it is for you to be on 30 minutes. We understand what it means for you to, and I went running looking for him, and I forgot to take my phone with me because I could have texted him.
Oh my God.
I was about to go to the third floor, and then the other, you know, his equal partner, Millie, she says, I think he's an MCC. I'm like, okay. She's like, it's by kids. And I go and I'm like, I've never been into this fucking wing at all. I didn't even know it existed, Cassie. Like, there's a whole plethora of fucking offices all under lock and key, but it's for like, yes. And I'm like, no one's here. And then I walk away and I walk to the escalators. And as I stand at the top of the escalator on the side, I could hear two gentlemen coming up, and it's him. And so I'm meeting him there with his lunch, and introduced to the marketing lead, and it worked out fine. And they said, he's like, oh, this is her new, manager, whatever. She's from Texas. He's like, where are you from? I said, I'm from the border. He's like, oh, I work with stores in the border. I said, I'm from Laredo. He's like, oh, really? And I said, yeah. I said, Macy's is, it's really big there. And he's like, oh, wow, that's amazing. And I walked right as we finished our conversation. I walked him to the door and I said, is there anything else you need from me, gentlemen? They said, no, thank you very much. And I said, have a good lunch. And I walked away.
Oh.
And so to me right now, it's just that I strive that I give the best hospitality and opportunity. And my team is very well aware that those are my standards. So if I can help anybody get through their shift easier and not have to rush and you have some time to slow down, I'm happy to do that. I'm happy to help you do it.
Wow.
It's not all is lost here.
Yeah, good. Considering everything that we've been through and how we were bamboozled by our own restaurants.
Bullshit. I mean,
my God.
Well, you've been in restaurants and you had managers in restaurants where NROs going them they're flipping plates through the line and
dude,
your CA's gone berserk and everybody wants to kill him. I mean, what cannot not happen?
Yeah. At this point, you're kind of prepared for everything.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
My God.
Extremely prepared.
Is there anything else that, has happened? Or what?
So they say, they were like, oh, you want to develop yourself? Like, I know that I have to learn every working part in the restaurant, right?
Yeah.
Why is a 5'4" Mexican woman flipping big fryers?
A basket.
Like a majority of baskets. The majority of everything is fried food.
Yeah.
Fried food. So whether it comes to sets too or fry, you're literally flipping. And I would go to the gym like every morning and lift, but it wasn't to this extent because I was always careful with my body and conscious of not getting hurt. Nah, fuck that out the window.
Yeah, right.
When you start working. I remember I got tendonitis. I had to get physical therapy.
Oh my God.
And the doctor was like, Esther, you cannot do anything for your family. Like they have to walk the dog. They have to cook for themselves. If you do not, it's going to be treacherous on you. And I was like, wow. He's like, I couldn't do anything. I laid in bed and tried to rest my arm as much as possible. And I've seen that have obviously there's been residual issues with it. Yeah. I try to carry a tray with my right hand and it almost toppled today. And I'm thinking I'm not strong enough or my tendons are feeling what I'm doing now on the regular that I'm not strong enough for it.
Oh no.
Yeah, no, it was definitely hard. And then when you're working in sets 2 and 5, you're constantly, and it's like in a bar. You're always constantly leaning forward.
Yeah.
So your back, you really get immense pain in your back walking in those ugly shoes.
Oh my God.
Because let's be real. No, we wear booties because we're cute, right?
Yeah, we do.
Because
I always have a little heel.
I always have a heel. Because other than that, if you don't, then you look like a man from your knees down. It looks, nothing goes, nothing works.
It's gross.
Nothing goes. Even my flats, they hurt me on they're too narrow or whatever.
Oh no.
So it's definitely a lot of, residual things that you end up dealing with in the end. Heel spurs, anything like that, because you're standing so long, because you're always on your feet. And it's important for us, not to say that it's not, for us to be doing the physical training and therapy that we're supposed to do. But do we have time to do it? No. Are the odds stacked against us? Absolutely.
Always.
And that was one of the extreme physical hardships on my body: gaining weight, tendonitis, being prescribed Xanax, and then the saddest part of all was having a miscarriage at work.
Oh my God.
It was having
because of all the stress.
Because of the complete stress. It was complete stress. And I had, it was who the fuck did you pick to be our MP? She was in a higher position than I was. And I honestly feel like she looked at me like I was beneath her because I was Hispanic.
No.
Or because I had the great relationship that I had with this person that I'm with right now, that she couldn't attain any of that. She really looked at me like I was the devil. And not to say anything, I'm not going to say, no, I'm going to give you her name and I'm going to let you go on her TikTok. I won't look at it. But long story short, she ended up embezzling $45,000 from the company.
That's wild.
She paid her rent like 3 months in advance, paid for plane tickets back and forth, whatever. And I'll let you read the story and how it plays out. You're going to be like, what? WTF?
Yeah.
Because I think now her husband is her boyfriend, her longtime boyfriend is with her daughter.
No.
Yes, but this is what I had to deal with. Okay, let's go.
My God.
Well, let's go. She was dependent on opiates.
Ugh.
And anything that could happen or would happen to her so she wouldn't have to go to work. And I remember going through my funk and my shit. And I went to Texas.
Mm-hmm.
I went to Texas to visit, to see the girls, and to go, see Mandy and my goddaughter.
Yeah.
And we went from Laredo. We went to South Padre. And I get to South Padre and I knock the fuck out. I'm so tired. And I'm like, I didn't attribute anything to when I'm sleepy as to like, I haven't slept in days, but my anxiety will always keep me up, right?
Yeah.
When I woke up, I slept so heavy and I'm like, this is like pregnant sleep. You know what pregnant sleep is.
Oh my God, yes.
You can sleep forever. It's so beautiful.
Yes.
It's like
First
nothing stopping
trimester.
you. Yes, nothing stopping you from it. Nothing keeping you from it. Like you're going to go to sleep because you're going to go to sleep and nobody could tell you a thing.
Yeah.
And I asked Mandy and I was like, hey, do you have a pregnancy test?
No.
And she was like, yes. And I said, okay, get one out. I'm going to take one in the morning. And in the morning, the first thing I did, I saw it and I peed and I'm like, motherfucker, I'm pregnant. How do I know my body?
Yeah.
You know, right?
Yeah.
So as soon as I get back to Florida, I go and the doctor's like, when's your period? And I told him, he's like, you understand that you're 2 weeks pregnant or a week and a half pregnant. Like you're that. Like that's how the difference I could tell my body because of everything that was so fucked in my life. I knew that I could not sleep. And how can I sleep?
Yeah.
This is the one telling thing that I knew.
Wow.
That was absolutely the biology in my body was something was so different. And I knew it and I was scared. I'm like, at my age, I didn't think that it was possible.
Well, you're not that old.
I'm pondering it. Thanks, not that old. But I took care of myself for a really long time. So I was like,
yeah,
I didn't, I never thought about it, but it wasn't all those years. It wasn't me. I come to find out after having tried to work out, or talking to my ex.
Oh,
it was not me. It was him. It wasn't me.
That's right.
It was him that couldn't give me kids.
Wow, what a freak. What a loser.
It was not me. It was not me. It was him that couldn't do it. So when I started missing relationship or whatever, it happened and it caught and and I'm at work and I remember my DO is there, my MP is there, and I'm telling them I'm miscarrying.
Oh my God.
Like I'm miscarrying at this moment. And they're like, well, are you going to be okay? Like this and that. You know that we have to, when anything happens to any employee, you have to call nurse triage.
Yeah.
I can't call nurse triage myself because if I did that, I would give myself time off, days off, whatever. I'm sick, whatever I want, whenever I want it, right?
Yep.
I went to my heads and they didn't do anything about it.
Oh my God.
I had to work my whole shift, then go to the hospital after.
After a long day.
After a 10-hour shift, I had to go to the emergency room and wait there for them to tell me, you're more than likely, like, of course, the hormone's still in there, but they didn't hear anything. They didn't find anything. They're like, more than likely it's passing. Please come back, in a couple of days to where the hormone we know that is no longer in your body. And we'll be able to tell you then.
Oh my God.
My DO messages me at midnight. It's like, are you okay? Are you going to be okay? The next day, I still go to work the next day.
My God.
He's like, hey, I waited up as long as I could for you.
Thanks.
And that is exactly when I said, fuck you all, fuck your people, eat my shit, go to hell. After that, I was like, fuck you all. And if I wrote it out as long as I did, and if I didn't give a fuck anymore, and if I didn't do anything, it was because you fucking made it happen, because I would have never fucking left you out there
Yeah.
like that. I carried this fucking team. I carried this restaurant, and I put my fucking self before anybody. I put everybody else before me.
Yep.
And after that, this is how I was repaid. Fuck you. I'm not gonna be my best. I'm gonna show up whenever the fuck I want to show up. I'm gonna do whatever I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
I was very angry.
Yeah.
I was very angry. Extremely angry. And started to drink. I was that upset.
Yeah.
Moving forward as I got over it, and I had this beautiful person in my life to shout, to just grab me and say, you're so fucking worth much more.
Yeah.
And we're gonna get through this, and you're gonna get through this, and you're gonna be the best person you can be for yourself, not for anyone else.
Mm-hmm.
And if I didn't have that, if I didn't have him picking me up after work on my days off, let's go to the gym, let's go to the beach, let me take you out, let me do this, let's sit down and we would just fall into this space of unlimited friendship, companionship, comfort,
of support,
extreme support, and dutiful love. It was like I remember that book I had you read, or I asked you to read. It was called it'll come to me, but I know it was a Christian. It was like a Christian novel. And Redeeming Love.
Yes.
Redeeming Love. And everything, like, I was like, oh, I don't deserve this. But he also felt the same way, as the way I treated him, as he treated me. And if it wasn't for this redeeming love that I had in my life, and I had Jake and my daughters moved here, it wouldn't have been I wouldn't be as happy as I am today to say that I started my life over. I started with a new company. I am doing so much better, and I'm happier and able to say that I'm better serving people today than I was 4 years ago.
Wow.
When I started where I am. It says so much, but it took a lot for me to get here. So the impact that I have on everybody, it matters.
It does. Because
now it does. Like, it didn't within those 4 years. I'm like, fuck you, fuck you, you're cool, fuck you, whatever. But sorry, that was my micro sales.
No, it's okay.
But yeah, to like where we are right now, I'm like, oh, I'm so ready to give. I'm so ready to receive.
Yes.
And I'm happy to be here, which is something that I couldn't say 4 years ago. I'm happy to be here.
That's awesome. Especially like for us, like we're the type of people that are truly passionate about what we do. So we take a lot, we put a lot on ourselves because we have such a high expectation for ourselves and for what we
because we give out so much, we don't, we give out so much that when we want to see our reward in other people.
Exactly.
And I've rescued and fostered many animals. You know this.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's some way healing my inner child. I don't know.
Aww.
But it's also the same with people. I don't have dogs in Miami. I don't have the connection here. I wish that I did. Anybody who knows, hey, shout out. Let me know. I'll go foster a dog or anything, but I'll spend time at a shelter. I have no problem doing that. And I don't have those connections that I had back home that I could do that. But now with, spending my time and investing in people, because someone invested so much in me.
Yeah.
He invests in me every single day. And I really couldn't be happier with that because, like I said, today I'm a much happier person, a much more fulfilled person than I was 4 years ago. And I can say that today.
Yeah, and I can see it because it's like you said, like we were bamboozled by our own restaurant because I feel like we were the ones that, we opened that restaurant here in our hometown, from the moment that they were hiring people, grand opening day, like we were the first team members on the floor, and we got to see the culture being handed down to us from our corporate trainers. So then when we became corporate trainers, we instilled that same kind of culture to our team members and the people that we trained. And all throughout the time that we were like in the industry of corporate training, and even when we moved into like our home or our restaurants, when we relocated to Florida, we thought like, okay, this is just the Cheddar's culture. Like, this is how things are run. And so you thought you were going to be able to do that with that same mentality going in. But when you're one person, going into an established restaurant, like for me, at least in my location, it was already an established restaurant for, at the time, I think 6 or 7 years. And everyone has their bad habits, or everyone has their own habits and their own way of doing things. And so when you come one person against, a completely established facility, it's very hard. Versus you, when you went and you were opening these restaurants as a new manager, as a new restaurant opening, it was probably a little bit different because you got to instill that same kind of culture. But we thought it was just going to be so easy everywhere we went, and that was not the case.
That was not the case. And I hope that if there's a corporate trainer that we learned from, and that how can I say, when we started our first year, who gave us the stepping stones to it, I just want to say thank you. Because
Definitely.
It was an extreme experience. It was a beautiful experience, and I wouldn't have loved this so much if it wasn't for that.
No, for real.
Like, they were amazing, all of them. Jermaine, we every time we have something like amazing happening, we just like reach out to each other, or if we're gonna be in each other's neck of the woods. We've been at the airport at the same time, but it's just different terminals, and we're like, oh my god, you're too far away from me.
Oh my god.
He's one of my pillars, in the industry.
He's an amazing human being.
Eric, definitely. We don't talk much now, but showed to be everything he was, like 10 times of a man. And and it's my story to tell everyone today that it starts off ugly, but it can end off really good if you just remember where you come from. And don't forget where you came from and what made you want to be here. Because this is shit.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's the muck of it.
It is. And if it's anything that I've learned, sometimes your environment has so much to do with it. Like, for example, our environment in our home restaurant was so like positive and uplifting, and we had an amazing culture.
Everybody that worked there went there just for fun on their day off or work. Everybody wanted to be around each other. It was an amazing time to be there.
We were a family, like a true family.
True family, yeah.
Yeah. And then when we both kind of like relocated, and when you're put in a lot, not worse, but a lot more difficult environments, you tend to kind of lose that passion, and you tend to kind of like forget why you fell in love with the job to begin with. But when you are put in a new environment, kind of like you now, and that reignites your passion. I'm so blessed to like hear how happy you are.
I'm super happy, and it's like I want to do everything for these people because they don't even understand.
Yeah,
they've been without a manager for 2 months.
Oh my gosh!
The minute I stepped in, we started exceeding the forecast sales. And today we doubled the forecast sales. So they're like super motivated. And they're like, oh my God. And what's the goal for today? They call it goals to me. We already know it's our forecasted sales, and we have to beat them. And they get really excited, and they're like, oh, I want to be here. And I quit my other job. If you need me, I'm here all the time. And all this stuff. So even, they tell me, the prep lady, she tells me, she's like, everyone is just so overwhelmed about how nice it is to come in here, how you're so nice, how nobody's like worried about bothering you. Like, you don't have an attitude. You're not mean. And I'm like, I'm happy to be here with no attitude and not be mean. You know what I mean? So it's very refreshing because I got a little bit back. I got a lot back from where I used to be. And it's pretty good. And I see you. You're doing so many things.
Oh,
like, you're like nonstop. And I'm like, with a baby and everything, I'm like, I don't know. But
with my baby, the small business,
small businesses, travel agency, your podcast, I just have to say,
trying to do so much.
I'm clapping for you all.
Thank you.
I'm cheering you on.
I feel the love.
Absolutely. I know that I support you and you support me, and
definitely.
And it's what you need to move on, because we all have to move on.
Yeah. I think I've just been so tired of like working for other people. Although it's my passion, like to serve others, I'm finding my own way to do that with my small business, with
But
this.
you serve other people. You take their orders and you fulfill them with so much heart, pride, and just respect for their situation. And I think it's a beautiful thing. You're still serving. You're still serving.
Thank
It doesn't
you.
matter. Manny's still serving. He's making sure that our logistics are operated and fully functioning to wherever everybody else needs. They don't understand that.
Yeah.
You're depending on this to get through because this man works, this is his position to make sure it gets back and forth.
Yeah.
To make sure that this driver gets the miles, that this driver gets, the load, whatever it
the
is.
load.
We are here to serve people, and don't ever get it mistaken. You will do nothing else in this life but serve. And if you think that you won't and that it's going to be easy, let me tell you, it's going to be hard coming.
No, definitely. It's so beautiful when you say it like that. Like at the end of the day, we're all here to serve, because it's true. I had never thought of it that way.
It's exactly what we're here to do. Whatever
It's so
position
beautiful.
we're in. So,
oh my gosh. Well, we've had a great, time recapping, everything that we've had going on in our lives in, the past 10 years, basically in the restaurant industry that we've had.
10 years next year. 10 years
That's
that you and I have been friends, that
crazy.
we met and that we've been on this journey together. So
Yeah.
I'm grateful for it, and I'm here for all of it.
Yes.
And I'm not going to leave you. I hope you don't leave me.
No, never. I'm never going to leave you. We have friends in each other for life. We're tied to each other for life.
Even if we didn't always agree with each other, we always understood each other.
We have a very much like a sibling relationship.
We
Like,
do.
obviously, everyone is going to argue with
I'm the
people.
big
We're not all
sister,
gonna
you're the
be-
little sister. And I'm like, why are
Yeah.
you doing this? And you're like,
Yeah.
wait, hold on.
Wait, give me a chance. No, for real. I think that we have both learned from each other so much. And
At the end of the day, I am extremely grateful for you and all the
Aw.
experiences that we shared. Your first plane ride was with me.
yeah,
I remember
that was my second plane ride, but that was my first plane ride, like without my mom, and NRO. Yeah, and an NRO. And then the first plane ride that I actually had issues with, I learned so much from you in that moment. I remember to take it all in and like absorb every ounce of information, the way you were like speaking to the agents. Like, you were very firm and like not taking no for an answer. You were there for business, and you said, no, I need to get on an airplane today. Like, I have somewhere to be tomorrow. Like, I need to get on the next flight out. And you did not take no for an answer.
Like, do you know where?
Yeah. And I learned so much. And I knew that in that moment, I had to pay attention to every single little, like, the way you were speaking, what you were saying, because I knew that I was eventually going to be in that same position in the future. And chances were I was going to be in that position by myself, and I wasn't going to have Esther by my side. So I needed to know what to say.
I have always been a mama bear, but times are very telling, because now if your flight is delayed 2 hours, you get $600. And if that would have been 2 hours, 3 hours, 2 hours, $600, 3 hours, $700, $800. Like, we would have just been like, okay, well,
you know what? Just I'll
we'll
wait.
They can wait for us. But I mean, everyone evolves, and I'll always be your big sister.
Yes.
Anything that
I know,
you
I always
need,
have
any
someone to go
advice.
to.
Absolutely. I've lived life.
Yeah.
I've lived life. We all have knowledge in some areas, and
You're so wise.
and we're I was like, none the wiser. No, we are wise, and as we get there, we got to help each other out.
Definitely.
Because we can't be the people that leave everybody behind. And at the end of the day, we are roots. We are deep roots.
We are. It's in our nature. It's in our Southern nature.
We never leave each other.
Never, ever. Oh my God. Well, I've had so much fun recapping with you this episode. I'm so thankful and excited to say that you've been our first guest.
I'm so excited of the first guest. We tried it several times.
Times. This is the third time we've recorded this.
And third time's a charm. This has been the best.
Yes.
So.
Yes, definitely. It's been so good. It's been so fun. And I'm so excited. This is definitely not going to be the last time we speak to you.
It's not going to be the last, because we're going to talk about I have so much stuff to talk about.
Yes, we need to do an episode just about NROs.
Yes, not only NROs, like our relationships with the corporate, everything we got away with, things that got offered to us, initiatives.
Dude,
there's so many things that goes on behind the apron. People will never understand, but that's for another day and another time.
Yep,
Kassy, I am so
definitely.
grateful for the time that we have spent together.
Me too.
Thanks. So this has been like the end of a beautiful day, and
Yay.
now I get to go spend time with Jake and the love of my life.
Yes,
And
go.
I have to tell you that I wish you the best in all of this, and I could see that you're going to be extremely successful.
Oh, thank you. I hope so. One day I'm gonna retire both of us.
You are. That's that one meme that's like, I'm just waiting for my friend to tell me that this was all a joke and this was all
Right?
a facade and she's
Dude,
really a millionaire. She's gonna retire the both of us.
Dude, I'm speaking that into existence. We are going to have over 1 million followers on our YouTube channel. We're going to eventually do this for a living, just kind of shoot the shit, recap, all these fun like restaurant shows, and we get to put on our little input. I'm manifesting it from our lips to God's ears.
There you go. And that's how we're gonna get there.
Yep. And that's how we're going to end it.
Alrighty.
Bye.
Bye.
Wow. What an interview.
It was definitely very intense and very eye-opening to what you guys go through as like managers on a day-to-day, and the toll and stress that it can take on not only your like emotional life but on your personal life as well.
And our physical life. I feel like a lot of the times people kind of, and I think that comes with any job or most jobs, a lot of the times it takes a physical toll on your body. But I think that for the most part, people forget that our work, whether you're in an office job, a corporate job, like a local job, whatever kind of job that you're in, your body does take a hit. And I think that we kind of forget to take care of ourselves. At the end of the day, jobs are going to come and go, but you have one life to live, and this is your one body that God has given you, and you have to take care of it.
Yeah, you do.
So we hope that you guys had a very good time listening to today's episode. We won't drag it out too long because we know that it's already a very long episode to begin with. But for the most part, we hope that you guys enjoyed this episode. Leave us your feedback in the comments. Make sure that you're doing all the podcast things. Share this episode with somebody that you love. I know that a lot of the times we forget that managers, team members, employees, we're all human and we all go through things. And so whether or not you have the nicest coworkers, always make sure to be kind. Remember to be kind. You never know what someone's going through at the end of the day. Like I said, we want to build a community that can lean on each other. And that's our goal. And that's something that we intend to do and that we strive for, right, babe?
Yeah, it doesn't cost a thing to be nice.
That's true. But I don't know about you, babe, but I'm ready to clock out.
I am too.
All right, guys. Make sure you like, share, comment, subscribe, and don't forget to clock out. See you next week, foodies.